I'll hit record and we'll let it fill for a minute. Oh, Razorback's here and said sounds good. Sounds is good for me. Yes, they is. Let's say. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Even Dirk sounded good too. That's amazing.
Sometimes it happens.
Oh,
Just don't hold your breath.
Oh, you know what? I don't need. I was gonna go ahead and grab a Star Crunch and have it here handy, but I'm probably not gonna need that because something tells me Renee's gonna show up with like ice cream or custard or something because she's a bad influence.
Mm-hmm.
They opened up a crumble cookie in High Point.
Was there not one already? That's weird.
There was not one already, and now there is one, and this could be a big problem. Especially since, they have the same cookies all the time pretty much, but they also have a mystery. Well, no, they have one or two cookies all the time. They have a rotating cookie or two, and then they have a mystery cookie that is only at that, well, not necessarily only at, but is specific to that store, may or may not be available at other stores at least that week. And the mystery cookie for this week is the mom's recipe, which is our favorite by far. Like, we've tried a lot of crumble cookies. This thing is insanely good. I'm going to look at the description while you guys keep talking. Or while you keep talking, and Dirk goes,
I mean,
let's see.
Now we should start the show because the recording has been going for almost 2 minutes. So,
okay.
Just hashtag not sponsored by Crumble Cookie. I think their cookies are too damn expensive. It's like, I don't actually know.
They are expensive. Kind of know that going in.
I would rather get ice cream for that much than a cookie. And I love cookies, right, but not for that much, I don't.
It is expensive. We indulge it every now and then. They're big cookies. The mom's recipe is a chunky oatmeal cookie packed with semi-sweet chocolate chips, toffee chips, and peanut butter chips, all sprinkled with a dash of sea salt. I can't do it justice.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
So,
toffee,
right then.
Toffee is one of the rare sweets that make me go, nope.
Then you would not like this, and I will have one in honor of you. No.
But all right, let's do the thing. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is actually, for real this time, episode 685 of the Mana Pool. I don't know what happened last week. When I opened up the streaming software, it said 681, so I added 1. It's like, okay, 682, and it's the 1 week I didn't pull up something to actually check. And then I went to post it, and it's like, this should be 684. I was like, So, my bad. Not entirely sure how that happened, but here we are. But I checked this week. Well, I didn't have to, because I found out. Anyway, I'm Chewy, the lead dork. I'm podcasting Chewy. Editing Chewy thinks I'm an idiot because I kept saying the wrong number all last week. And I've got some other dorks with me. We're missing one. But,
wonder who it could be.
Well, it's not you.
Nope. I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler, tangent master of the group, and for today, I will be the lore master. Who could I be? No?
No.
Dang it. I'm not getting that promotion, am I?
Is that a promotion?
It's like one of those sideways. It's one of those sideways promotions.
Oh.
It's that promotion.
This is where I'd be interrupting Mike.
Yeah, it's the promotion where you're the principal, and instead of being, kicked out, they're like, well, we'll just move you to central office.
That works for you teachers and teaching administrators out there. The rest of us are like, okay. Who are you, mystery voice?
Not Mike. I am Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group, and I refuse to supplant Mike. He can have his lore masterness.
Remember, it's game lore, not story lore.
Game Lord?
Yeah, every week he says, "I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy," meaning the lore of like the game itself, like how it came to
I
be.
thought Gang Lord.
What?
Like,
Yeah,
no.
Mike is a
Gang
gang
lord?
lord. Yeah, say hello to my little friend.
Mike would make a good.
That
You
does
know, I don't know
change
if I can
Mike's
finish that.
intro quite a bit.
You know,
Hey, Mike,
I could
hey,
see Mike ruling with an iron fist. Yeah.
he is the rules guy. Yeah. Ooh,
He does
everything
like
has
playing
a.
with Fumiko, and Fumiko definitely is the enforcer. Yeah.
But like
I can
something
see it
about
now.
Mike's personality and his disposition, I could totally see him being the gang lord.
Yeah, he wouldn't be like the thug sort of like enforcer. He'd be the one sitting behind the desk smoking a cigar, being like,
Yeah, he'd be the
what have you
kingpin
brought me
or the
today? He'd be
godfather.
the
He's
kingpin, the Godfather. Yes, yes, yes.
I'm like
Wow.
my mind goes to Steve Buscemi and was it Boardwalk Empire?
Something like
Like
that. Yeah. Except
Yeah.
less creepy looking because, Steve Buscemi.
You know.
Yeah.
So
So
that means Brian would be our consigliere. Right? Isn't that the lawyer who's
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's the word.
Or would
I have
be
no
more
idea
like
where Dirk
better,
and I fit into this.
Would I be like the Better Call Saul of the group?
There you go.
Yeah.
I guess would I be Mike's right hand man? Maybe would. Oh God, would I be the hitman?
You would be like Joe
I mean, you like to
Pesci
play
in Good.
Hitman.
You'd be like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
I've actually never seen Goodfellas. All I know is the. What?
It's okay, neither have I.
Are you laughing at me? What about me do you find funny? I don't even know the line. See, because I've never seen the movie.
One of the pigeons from Animaniacs.
Dude, I loved the Good Feathers. Oh my God. Anyway. Hi, we're here to talk about magic in theory.
In theory, not about organized crime, or in our case, very disorganized crime.
Man, the RICO charges are just piling up on us here.
Oh, topical.
What? Oh, it is topical too, isn't it?
I swear, if I hear he wasn't even there one more time, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's what orchestrating, from somewhere else means. But that's about the proud boy that just got 30, not 30,
22 years.
22 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Millhouse's voice just came through in my head. Not Millhouse. What's the bully's name?
Nelson.
Nelson.
I was wondering what Millhouse was saying. So,
Everything
magic.
is coming up, Millhouse. All right, so magic. So yes, Wilds of Eldraine. As you can tell, Mike's not here, so we couldn't move on to a new topic because there's no Mike.
Yes.
We're very
But we're
scatterbrained
here.
because Mike's not here either.
Yeah, it's weird
we-
how Mike is apparently what keeps us together, even though
That keeps us on
he
target.
doesn't.
Yeah. But we are here, so we said, you know what? We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Aha.
You wanna talk about give a brief rundown of your pre-release now or later?
Sure. I can now, if you'd like.
All right, do it
And-
now, and I'll pull up any
All right,
relevant cards while you're
Let's
talking.
do it now. So I went to a pre-release at a local game store. It was obviously sealed because that's how pre-releases work.
Yep.
And it was 3 rounds, and I opened a very interesting mix of cards. I've got the deck in front of me, but let's just I'm not going to go through every card, but I might just mention the rares that I pulled. So one of the things I want to mention right off the bat, remember, This was the day after we recorded the preview episode last week. I had barely looked at the set, and a lot of what I had looked at was the mythics and the rares. So I hadn't registered everything. You know what I realized? There's manlands in this set, and they're kind of awesome. I opened
Oh yeah.
two. I opened.
After you
Go
left, I was like, "Oh, we didn't even talk about the creature lands. Maybe we'll do another episode next week."
So here we go. And I opened two of them and I ran them both, which the first one slotted right in. The second one was definitely a bit of a forced splash, but it worked out. Spoiler alert, I ended up going 3-0 against some very good players. My last round opponent is a level 2 judge. Like at one point he had to stop our match so he could answer a question for somebody else. But I got some very good draws, and I built, I think, a pretty good deck. But let's go ahead and go through these manlands. I think I didn't notice these before because the way that this is organized on here, they're below the some of
Some of the
the basic
basics,
lands,
yeah, for
and
some
usually
idiot reason.
usually the basic are last. So I was like, oh, I guess we're done. So I opened actually the first one on here in alphabetical order, the Restless Bivouac, and at least one person complimented me on my pronunciation of it. The manlands are all enemy colors, and this is the red white one. All of them enter the battlefield tapped and tap for both one of either their colors. So the bivouac is red or white. One a red and a white. Restless Bivouac becomes a 2/2 red and white ox creature until end of turn. It's still a land. And whenever Restless Bivouac attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. This thing did some work. This was very, very good. My deck ended up being primarily red and white.
Nice.
And the fact that if it's all you have, it can just become a 3/3 and then a 4/4 and then a 5/5. There was a manland a while ago. What was it? Maybe as far back as original Zendikar, World Wake. That was the red green one that would just get a +1/+1 counter whenever it attacked, and that was all it did. But that was awesome, and this gave me that kind of vibe. But it could also be like, oh, grow this other guy. I'll skip ahead to the other one that I opened, and then if you want, we can go over the others. The other one that I opened, and I told you this was a bit of a forced splash, is the Restless Vinestalk. It is the green and blue one. I had a minor green splash in that I made sure I had a couple, like, add one mana of any color sources for the blue. And I did play this twice and attacked with it once, and the time that I attacked with it, it helped me win the game, but it was probably a bit greedy on my part. Uh, Comes in tapped, tap for a red, not red, for a green or a blue. 3 green blue until end of turn. It becomes a 5/5 green and blue plant creature with trample. It's still a land. Whenever it attacks up to one other target creature, has base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. And the time I attacked with it, I turned a 1/1 with menace into a 3/3, and that helped a lot. So, what are these other? It's really good. Obviously, it's much more expensive to wake up, but it is bigger than the bivouac, and it also makes something else presumably bigger. Plus, green blue loves the whole +1/+1 counter, so making something's base power and toughness bigger always helps. What
Yeah,
are these
that
other manlands we
that
got
or
here?
shrinking one of your opponent's things.
Also, there you go. I didn't even see it that way. Um, I attacked with it more than once, perhaps I would have clued into that. Perhaps not. But that's really good. What are these other manlands before I get to some of the other stuff that was in the set?
Well, let's see. The fortress is in black and white, and for 2, a white and a black, it becomes a 1/4 nightmare.
Hmm?
And when it attacks, defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Ooh.
Yeah. Nice big toughness, and so you can keep attacking over and over again. and a little
Yeah.
bit of life drain. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, Dirk, what's the cottage?
Cottage. So, I'm gonna have to use your image. Never mind. It's coming up grainy for me.
So Dirk has not been following along with the rest of the class.
No, I had an email come in, and so I was answering the email.
This is why
Dirk's
teachers
a
need to be paid
teacher.
more, because Dirk does not actually stop working at 3 o'clock or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
No, I don't. All right, Restless Cottage. Enters the battlefield tapped, adds black or green. 2 black green. Restless Cottage becomes a 4/4 black and green horror creature until end of turn. It's still a land.
Ugh.
Whenever Restless Cottage attacks, create a food token and exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard.
That's
pretty good.
really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. Like, that's not just me, right? Like, that's really good.
No, that's really good. 4 mana to wake up, become a 4/4. 5 if you think, okay, you're not tapping this thing for that mana because otherwise you
Yeah.
can't attack with it. And a free food, whether it hits the opponent or not, and graveyard hate. That's pretty good. I also love the art. All of the art on all of these is good, but I love the cottage, just kind of having a mouth.
Ah. And then, hey, Mike, what's the Spire do? Ah, piss. So the Spire is the blue-red one, and for a blue and a red, it becomes a 2/1 blue and red elemental with, as long as it's your turn, this creature has first strike. Oh. And when it attacks, scry 1.
Nice. Very low curve, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Play it early, wake it up early, start swinging and scrying, and 2/1 with first strike will be safe for a while, and then when it's not anymore, it's a land.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like those. I like all of those.
Yeah, these are all really good creature lands here.
Mm-hmm.
For my pre-release experience, after opening my packs, I looked through the cards. I settled on red fairly early, and you know how it is. In sealed, I'm like, okay. The only color I really was able to eliminate very quickly was blue, just because I didn't get a lot of it. I took a picture and I sent it to the guys. As you know, when you do a pre-release in sealed, there's also always a stamped foil card. It can be any rare. And I sent it to the guys. I said, I shouldn't have been making fun of this last night because when we were talking about the Regal Bunny Corn, I was like, is this good or not? Yes, it's only 2 mana. Yes, it can get really big, but that's it. But the more I looked at it, I'm like, I feel like this is really good. We talked about it last week, but just real quick, for 1 and a white, Star Rabbit Unicorn. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of non-land permanents you control. Most of the time for me, if I would not play it out turn 2. I would play it out just a little later, and most of the time it was a 3/3. It got up to like a 9/9 or a 10/10 in some games.
Nice.
Opponents would kill it if they had to, but it was a 2-drop, so it was kind of like So that worked pretty well. So I mentioned the one time I attacked with the Restless Vinestalk, I turned my 1/1 with Menace into a 3/3. Hey, Chewy.
Hey, Brian.
Have you pored over the set?
No.
Have you analyzed it? All right. You should go to Red and look for a card called Rotisserie Elemental.
I love that name.
And you should read it.
All right. Rotisserie Elemental is a 1/1 for 1 with Menace. And it's an elemental. It's weird how this works. When Rotisserie Elemental deals combat damage to a player, put a skewer counter on it. Then you may what? Then you may sacrifice it. If you do, exile the top X cards of your library where X is the number of skewer counters on it, and you may play those cards this turn.
I
All
love the
right.
art.
That's pretty neat.
It's weird. I almost wasn't going to play it, and I actually lowered the curve of the deck just a little bit. Um, and this thing is another one where like opponents are like it's just a 1/1, but it's the menace. I never sacked it for the skewer tokens. It's skewer counters in the last game, uh, which was the one where of the day where it was the one where it became a 3/3. At that point, it had 6 counters on it,
Oh my
but
god.
I wasn't sacking it because it was evasive, and he was playing singularly large creatures, so I could just keep getting in there with the rotisserie elemental. So
Nice.
if I needed to, I could have sacked it, but I didn't need to. And then while we're still in red, hey Dirk, go to I think you'll like this, even though it's not green. Go to Godric.
Godric Cloaked Reveler.
Oh, there he is.
That's him.
Alright, so for 1 and 2 red, he's a 3/3 human noble legendary creature with haste. And he has Celebration. As long as 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn, Godric Cloaked Reveler is a dragon with base power and toughness 4/4, flying, and add red. Dragons you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So they
Oh
gain
my
the
God.
ability to fire breathe all
He
dragons.
becomes a Shivan dragon with haste because he doesn't lose that first ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I was concerned I may not get Celebration a whole lot, but then I figured he's a 3/3 with haste. And yeah, it worked out really well. So that was why my deck was red white. I'm not gonna name again everything else, but I had some other cards that just really helped supplement it. I had enough burn spells for removal. Um, I had a bigger green splash earlier, and I quickly took a lot of the green stuff out just to have just to focus um on the red and white. Uh, Another rare that I got that I did not play is in black, and Chewy, I think you'll probably like this one. If you want to find Lich Knight's Conquest, I did not run it. One of my opponents did and liked it quite a bit, but I thought for this format, especially because I wasn't being pushed into black by other cards, I was like, no.
All right. Lich Knight's Conquest is a rare sorcery for 4 and a black that says sacrifice any number of artifacts, enchantments, and or tokens. Return that many creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh yeah. I think I spotted this in the Manapool Discord. Hey, if you're on Discord, you should join the Manapool Discord. Link is in the description / show notes / wherever.
So that can be pretty sick, and I'm not saying it's bad for limited. I mentioned after the pre-release, this felt like a super Mike set because it's all about resource management and it's all about sacrifice between bargain and food and treasure tokens. There's a lot of sacrifice going on in this set, and it's spread out over every color. It's not just, oh, you're in green and black, you're going to be sacrificing. It's everywhere. So it felt like a super thought intensive, like there were a lot of interesting plays to make set. Um, Again, I am going to mention, I think, looking through the set, I'm going to mention um, 2 commons just because they were so good, and then 1 uncommon, and then we'll get on to other stuff. but the two commons are both in white. I had 2 copies of Protective Parents. Protective Parents for 2 and a white is a common human peasant 3/2. So for 3 mana, 3/2, which isn't bad. When Protective Parents dies, create a young hero role token attached to up to 1 target creature you control. So 3/2 plus a die trigger, you get something off of that. Already is good resource management. You're already getting something, and the young hero role is one of my favorites because it doesn't give any additional stat boost immediately, but then whenever the young hero attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, it gets a +1/+1 counter. There was one game where I managed to get the young hero on Godric, so I was like, yes, if I attack with him, he'll become a 4/4 off of that, and then when he's a dragon, he'll be a 5/5. But it ended up working out that he was always a dragon whenever I attacked, so he was already 4/4. So, but
Whoops.
but it's still really good. And then the other white card common is Return Triumphant. For 1 and a white, it is a common sorcery that does so much work. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a young hero role token attached to it. That, first of all, gets back so many cards in my deck, like Godric, like the Regal Bunnycorn. I had one opponent like go to some lengths to kill the Bunnycorn, and then I was like, next turn, Return Triumphant, and they were like,
Oh
okay.
no.
And the young hero role is another permanent, and Return Triumphant triggers celebration because it's automatically 2 permanents. So
Oh, the creature and the roll, yeah.
the creature in the role, yeah. So Return Triumphant, definitely a good card for me. And then the uncommon I want to talk about, I'm trying to remember. We may have actually talked about this last time. Let me know. And one of the other cards that got back was an uncommon. It's the Ash, the party person with Celebrate. Really aggressive red white, and I know we talked about Ash last time.
What color's ash?
Red white,
Oh, gold. Okay.
yeah,
Ash, ash, ash. Oh, the party crasher.
yeah.
Yeah. We talked about ash last week.
Which using Return Triumphant to get Ash back and put the roll on her was just fabulous. So, but the other uncommon that I think we may have talked about was in red, Corvold and the Noble Thief. It's a saga. Look at it real quick. Tell me if we covered it last week. I'm trying to
I don't
remember
think
if
we
we
talked
did
about
or not.
any sagas last week.
Really? Okay. Well, then for 3 and a red, um, it is a enchantment saga. It's uncommon. Chapters 1 and 2 create a treasure token. Simple enough.
Yeah.
Once again, that first turn, automatic celebration because both the saga and the treasure. Chapter 3, exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. You may play those cards this turn, which those treasures help you do.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Nice. That's pretty nice for an uncommon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Game 2 of round 2. I'm playing against a gentleman who is in black and I want to say blue. I could refer to my notes. Chapter 3 hits. His top 3 cards are Swamp, which, by the way, you can play lands off of this as long as you haven't played a land so far.
Yep. Which you can't
Um,
because it happens after your draw step, so you haven't played a land yet.
Correct. But as long as you don't, because you can play those cards at any point this turn, as long as you don't be like, okay, great, well, let me play this land from my hand.
No, that's
Duh.
true.
Yeah. Uh, he revealed that. I want to look at my notes real quick. I remember the third card, but it was two super good black cards that I was um I was a bit torn about, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, one of these is super obvious. Oh, that's right. Hold on, I'm trying to find this other one. I'm bad at this game, so bad at this game. Um, so Swamp,
Yep.
then Obira Dreaming Duelist, which is in multicolor,
Oh, of
for a
course it
blue
is.
and a black. You see it?
No, I was in black.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Okay, here we
I'm
go.
being
Obira Dreaming Duelist. Got it.
Yeah, for blue black, 2/2 flash flying. Whenever another fairy enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life. I was at a relatively low life total. It has evasion. I didn't really want him to have it, but then I also realized
They're exiled.
I need to. It's exiled,
Yeah.
and with the treasures I had, I couldn't take this, and I couldn't take the third card, and the third card was Grave Pact.
Oh, God!
So I took the Grave Pact.
And you could play it?
Yeah, between those treasures and I had prophetic prism.
Ah.
Yeah. So this is how serious this dude's deck was. He
Wait,
had
does
Grave
Grave Pact
Pact,
only
which
cost 3?
I think it costs. Well, if we go the set and we go to and we switch the thing to
Oh, yeah.
Enchanting Tales, haha. It costs 1 and 3 black.
Oh, okay. I knew it cost 4, but I thought it was
Yeah.
4 black.
Yeah.
But no, okay.
But this guy's deck was so seriously black. He had Grave Pact and he had the Black Virtue that we covered last
Oh,
time,
God.
which is the Debtor's Knell. So think about that for just a second.
Buh.
Yeah. So I honestly got very lucky. In the games that I was able to win, I basically just kind of out aggroed him. So anyway, so that I wanted to touch on that because that getting to play his Grave Pact with Corvold really helped me win that game. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
freaking bet.
Yep. Let's see. So that's basically going to run down on my deck. Red white, fairly aggro. Was able to trigger Celebration probably more than I thought I would, but the deck was not reliant on it, so that was important.
That's good.
Go to. I want to talk about some of the things in my opponent's decks. Go to artifacts. I don't think we
Artifacts?
really touched on almost any artifacts last time.
Yeah, we did the 3 queen, or the 3 witches things, and that
That's
was
right.
about it.
We did. So,
What am I looking at?
you're gonna tell us about the Iron Crag.
Okay, the Iron Crag is a 2-mana legendary artifact that taps for colorless mana. Alright.
Nice.
Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have the Iron Crag become a legendary equipment artifact named Everflame Hero's Legacy. Oh. If you do, it gains Equip 3, and equipped creature gets +3/+3 and loses all other abilities. Oh.
Which we have to be very clear when we're talking about this here. The Iron Crag loses all other abilities, not the creature it's equipping. So.
Oh, okay. I read it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
that's what
it gains Equip 3, and equipped creature gets +3/+3, and the Iron Crag loses all other abilities. Got it.
Yes. So my first round, I'm feeling good about my deck. Sit down, play against a super nice gentleman. He goes turn 1, either plains or island, doesn't really matter which one. Turn 2, the Iron Crag. Turn 3, Will, Scion of Peace.
Oh! Turn 4,
Wakes
Brian
up,
poops.
turn 4, I get attacked by a 5/7, and he's like, it taps because he loses that ability. I'm like, oh, you need to read that more carefully. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, look at where the quotation ends. He's like, wait, so it still has. I'm like, yeah, he still has all of his normal abilities. Not once did he ever tap will for his effect, because I don't think he really had any life gain. I also don't think he had many legendary creatures. So that,
So it was a mana rock that he managed to get lucky with. Nice.
but hey, that's the spirit of the game. And
I
it's
mean,
super
I would
nice player,
probably throw
but
in the Iron Crag in my deck if I had, I don't know, 2 or 3 legendary
sure,
creatures.
sure, why not? I mean, +3/+3 is great, and it's all, and until you wake it up, it's a mana rock.
Yeah, it's a mana rock.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Razorback in the chat said this quotation marks are doing a lot of work, right?
they are, they are. I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah,
That's a
and
really
then
cool card. It's not like
yeah,
busted or anything. It's just really cool.
it's nice. I like it. Uh,
It's an
I
artifact
don't
that's
really have.
not there wasting space.
Yeah. Like I love well, I mean, you guys remember my school of Magic was more options, more better. But I always have loved cards that do one thing in the early game, but don't become useless in the late game. Like one of the earliest ones was the oh god, the 1/1 for one in I wanna say crap. One of the dragon sets.
Mhm.
But I can't remember which one. Was it the Dragon Master Outcast? Maybe.
Maybe.
But it
I
was
want
it
to say
was a
maybe.
1/1 for one that in the early game obviously it's a 1/1 for one, and in the yeah, this is it. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, create a 5/5 dragon token. Like it's
Yes.
a cheap creature that is not worthless in the late game, and that was one of the. It's just one that stuck out as an early example of them trying to make 1 drops not pointless to draw in the late game.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's why I like the Iron Crag because it's super useful the earlier you play it. Oh, acceleration, hell yeah, and then later it's a big ass. Oh, what is that? What was the +3/+3
I
equipment?
don't.
The first one.
I don't know that anybody, like, because early equipment in the first sets was so busted. Like, everybody remembers Bone Splitter, and everybody remembers Loxodon Warhammer because of the fact that it was, 3 to equip for +3/+0 and lifelink. I don't know that I remember the just basic +3/+3. Dirk, do you?
I'm looking it up because they had the basic +1/+1 and the basic +3/+3, and then later they made a +2/+2 one.
Right. +1/+1 was Leonid Scimitar. I
Volshock
remember that
Battle
one.
Gear.
See, that doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No,
So,
no, but that was the +3/+3 for 3 and equip 3 that was super sick in limited and nowhere else. Anyway,
so I ended up going, as I said, 3-0. Had a fantastic time. The cards that I've mentioned are pretty much the ones that really stood out to me. Uh, Not that we didn't see other cards played, but as you know, with limited, a lot of it is the commons and uncommons doing a lot of the work. So,
well, yeah.
um, those were the ones that I really made a note of. Whoa, and buh. So, tell you what, if you want to just start going through the set and just kind of figuring out what looks really interesting to you, we can do that. But those are the ones that I really had in my head and on my list of like, okay, got to make sure you talk about these. So,
Makes sense. Hmm.
oh, and
Oh,
uh, the second person I played, the one that had the black deck, also had the Lich Knight's Conquest because, of course,
oh God. Just won the black card lottery there.
yeah, yeah.
So I just found a card I haven't actually read yet, but I love the name and the art.
What's that?
It's in gold. It's Totentons, the Swarm Piper.
Okay.
Totentons? Totentans? I don't know how you say the name. But he's a legendary creature, human warlock bard. He's the Pied Piper. For one, a black and a red, he's a 2/3. He's uncommon. When Totentons, Swarm Piper, or another non token creature you control dies, create a rat creature token with this creature can't block. Nice. And then for one and a black, target attacking a rat you control gains death touch until end of turn. Ooh.
That's neat.
Instead of leading your children away, the rats just follow him and he gets them to attack you.
Interesting that his ability specifies target attacking rat you control when the tokens that he makes can't block. Now, this means obviously you can use other rats than just the tokens that he uses, and it kind of like makes sure that you can't use a rat to block and get this effect. But
Yeah. It
because of
makes
that,
him
I mean,
like that one word just makes him a much more aggressive creature.
yeah. But it also, because of that, it makes them, he's fairly aggressively costed, you know? This feels like a very good effect for a dude of just 3 mana.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to have other rats from somewhere, which, I mean, there are plenty of rats in this set, or rat tokens and whatnot, so.
Mm.
I think he's great symmetry because all someone has to do is to get a token, and if you're like, I have to block, and it dies, well, as long as it's a non-token creature, you're going to get your rat back. Oh, you control dies. Never mind.
I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, you're not getting. He'd be a little too good, I think, if
Yeah,
it was whenever
he
any
wouldn't be
creature
uncommon. He'd be rare if that was the case.
Accurate.
and cost more. Hey, Dirk,
Hey,
Mhm.
Dirk.
you should totally read the Simic looking guy next to him.
The Vidalcan scout.
Yes,
How do you
Uh,
say that? Is it
Troyan.
Troyan.
Troyan. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't
Troyan.
think
Let's
that's
see. Explorer. For one green blue, he's a 1/3 Vidalcan scout, a legendary creature who is uncommon. So he taps, adds green blue. Spend this mana only to cast spells with mana value 5 or greater, or spells with X in their mana costs.
Ooh.
So he's a little selective. But
he's
for
gutsy. Only no guts, no glory, just big stuff.
there you go. So for blue and tap, draw a card, then discard a card.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now read the flavor text.
The streets of Ravnica were stifling. Eldraine is an endless adventure paved in gold.
Wait, how does he know about Ravnica?
He's actually mentioned in one chapter of the story. The story was 5 chapters long, and in one of them, he assists two of the characters, Ruby and the other guy, the red guy that has the double strike. It's kind of the protagonist. whose name Kellen.
The
He, they are going up the beanstalk to a giant palace to
As one
consult
does.
the mirror, the blue mirror that was the sacred treasure of the blue court before. The magic mirror is now up in the giant palace, and they wanted to go consult it to figure out how to break the witch's curse and all that. And I guess this is a bit of a minor spoiler, but the card kind of gives it away. The mirror only of Vantress will only tell you something if you give it a secret. And Troyan, out of nowhere, tells the mirror, I wasn't born on Eldraine. And the mirror goes, oh, really? And tells them what they want to know. Uh, so I wasn't sure if he was going to show up as a planeswalker or not. My guess is he's a desparked planeswalker.
uh, Jay Spencer in the chat says he's from Ravnica. He went through the Omen paths when they were open, I guess.
Has that been confirmed? And
I don't
Jay
know.
Spencer knows that.
So either Jay Spencer knows that or he's inferred it. That
Okay.
seems more likely than desparked planeswalker, honestly.
Possibly, although there's a whole lot of desparked planeswalkers running around. So, and like
True, but
when
aren't they all ones we knew?
I think so, but nothing says that they couldn't be like, hey, by the way, this person was a planeswalker. So
Oh, the
I
Omen
think you
paths are
could.
still open, he said. Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Ah, yes. So, so it's more likely. Uh, there's a point in the story when Rowan tries to planeswalk and seems surprised when she can't. So it could very well be that, like, it's not like all planeswalkers were given a notice. Hey, you have 30 days left to planeswalk. This message will self-destruct. Clearly, it's the fabric of the multiverse was affected, and even if it affected you, you may or may not have realized how fundamentally your nature changed. So there was a blue card that depicted Kellen in front of an omen path, and it's kind of depicting something that happens super late in the story. It was in blue.
Is it Into the Fey Court?
Extraordinary Journey.
Oh.
I don't think I've read this one, so I'm gonna just start talking.
All right, start talking then.
Extraordinary Journey. XX blue blue.
Buh.
I'm not stuttering. It's two X's. Enchantment rare. When Extraordinary Journey enters the battlefield, exile up to X target creatures. For each of those cards, its owner may play it for as long as it remains exiled. Okay? Whenever one or more non-token creatures enter the battlefield, if one or more of them entered from exile or was cast from exile, you may draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This makes my head hurt.
All right, so hang on. So you exile X target creatures, and whoever owns it can play it again for as long as it's exiled. Okay, got it.
Right.
Whenever
So
one
you
or
can
more.
temporarily get rid of a lot of stuff. So
Yeah. So it's essentially fancy bounce.
it is. This is sorcery speed, so you can't be like, oh, Wrath? Well, let me blink out all my stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then whenever one or more non-token creatures enter the battlefield, if one or more of them entered from exile or was cast from exile, you draw a card. Oh. I get it.
So that if you did this to your stuff, when you play them later, you get it back. Also, don't.
I mean, it doesn't matter
creatures
whose stuff
from
it is.
enter the battlefield, not under your control.
Yeah, not under your control. So whenever someone brings back anything that you have exiled with Extraordinary Journey, you still draw a card. Only one every turn, so if they play multiple things back, you only get one card, but still, hey, you got a card.
So I can remove a couple of their things. Granted, this is expensive, but let's say, so for one creature, it's 4 mana. So
Not great.
multiples of multiples of 2 starting at 4. But 2 creatures for 6 is probably where you're at because you're removing their 2 best creatures.
Yeah.
And
Wait a
then when
minute.
they replay and adventures, do creatures
Okay, that's what I was about to say. Wait a minute. Stuff that's on an adventure is which chat has already pointed out actually twice. Thanks,
oh
chat. I wasn't
uh,
looking at you. I'm sorry. I was trying to
they're
understand this
they're
card.
they're, they're we're getting there. I wasn't looking at chat. I was looking at the card. So, yeah. So you could just pay this for blue and be like, "All right,
Whenever
you know,
anybody plays a creature that's on an adventure, I draw a card, which doesn't do anything, but if you've got several adventuring things in your deck, then
yeah.
which in this set obviously that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably kind of crap for limited unless you're going for the bounce 2 things and kill you. But
I think I like this one for limited a little more than you do just for the removal aspect, for the tempo aspect. And it's not
I don't know how much
perfect.
tempo you're getting at 4 mana for one creature though. Like,
No, but you'll play a sweeper for 5. So I'm thinking 6 is where it's at. And then late game, if you have like 8 mana, I'm not saying it's great, but I think it's got some potential.
well, I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
8 mana to remove 3 things. Like, if you're in a super late game stall, which we've all been there, like,
Yep.
obviously drawing this is a godsend. But yeah, I think I like the idea of casting it for blue and just drawing cards off of adventures for the rest of the game. Which chat just said again, yeah. I gotta start looking at chat.
What's another card that stood out to Dirk?
Dirk's
In
like,
any
I
color.
can't read.
Did we talk about Neva, stalked by nightmares?
I don't know. What
What
color is it?
color is that?
Multicolored.
Whoop. Doesn't sound familiar. Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, look at that art, though. That is beautiful.
Hmm?
And
No, we didn't, Dirk.
creepy.
So Neva, stalked by nightmares, is two white black, human noble, who's a 2/2 legendary creature, uncommon, has menace. When Neva, stalked by nightmares, enters the battlefield, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Neva, then scry 1.
Ooh,
Yeah.
she's fun.
There are several creatures in the set that are when an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, do blah. But the fact that she's able to regrow one or a creature is particularly nice.
Yeah. Plus, with all of the roll tokens going around, I bet she works well with that sort of thing, which obviously is why so many creatures have that. Yeah, she's cool. After you guys both left last night, Mike and I, or last week rather, Mike and I talked about the Mosswood Dread Knight. Oh
I
my
was just reading
god.
that.
Do what?
I was just reading that.
One of
Yeah.
my opponents played that, and I was like, I don't know how to get rid of this. There's a
Yeah.
window here, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's a counterspell window or an exile
Well,
window
like
and
if they don't cast it, it can also they have a turn to cast it. Why don't you go and tell us what it does?
yeah, Dirk, tell us what it does.
So for one, let's go. So 1 green, Mosswood Dread Knight. It's a 3/2 human knight that's rare and has trample. When Mosswood Dread Knight dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until the end of your next turn.
Okay,
And
now,
so,
before we get to the adventure, it's a 3/2 with trample for 2,
hmm
which these days, is not as powerful as that used to be. but that's still insane. And
Notable,
it's
yeah.
got recursion by itself, which is also insane. So okay, what's its
Oh
adventure?
my gosh, it does. Oh my. Holy moly. And so its adventure is Dreadwood Whispers for 1 and a black. Sorcery adventure. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. So then exile this card. You may cast the card later from exile.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good.
So
So
you Dread
you.
Whispers it, and then later you bring it back out. It's a 3/2 with
Mhm.
trample, and they go ah, and they kill it, and you're like cool. And then you Dread
Goes
Whispers it,
back.
draw a card, lose a life, and then you bring it back out.
Reminds me of
So you can play adventures from the graveyard.
No, you can
no,
play this one from the graveyard because it says you can on the card.
and only you only have a 1 turn window to do so.
Yeah.
So, it reminds me of the Black Knight from original Eldraine that was the hero's downfall, as the um as the adventure, because its effect was when it died, it gets either on the bottom of your library or shuffled back into your library or something, so that you could keep regrowing it. This is not the same, but it has a very sort of inevitable, you can't get rid of it kind of feel, you know? And
Yeah.
it's a 3/2 with trample for 2.
Jay Spencer pointed out there's a cheap red burn spell that does 2 damage and exiles. That's true. We talked about how that uh happened, how that was there last week, I think. He said he had to do that to this last weekend. It made his opponent sad. Yeah, I bet. I
But
would be
you had no
sad if you got
choice.
rid of my Mosswood Dread Knight.
But it's what you gotta do.
Yeah. This is one of the ones that when it was dropped in the Manipool Discord. Seriously though, if you're on Discord, you should join the Manipool Discord. We uh, when it was dropped in Discord, I read it and was like, that's a real card. Like that's gonna do things. And then I showed it to Mike after you guys went to bed last night, and Mike was like, I don't know. And then he read it and it clicked, and he was like, oh no, you're right. I think this is a real thing. I hope it is, because it's freaking awesome. But the fact that the window you have is until the end of your next turn means you're getting an untap.
And in theory, you should have the mana to do it, as long as you're not in a mono green deck. Where if you're just playing this in a mono green deck for a beater, then
I
you're
mean,
not.
that's
Then you're
fine,
not.
but you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. But you're doing it wrong. But otherwise, you always have the option to do it. The only reason you wouldn't is if for some reason you don't have the availability to play it anymore, which if you played it the first time, you should. But there's also the possibility that maybe there's just something else you have to do with your turn instead.
Which is always possible.
It is a low possibility, but it's the only thing that even tries to keep this balanced, you know?
But I mean, if you've got that sick 4-drop that you need to play on turn 4 and they killed your Dread Knight on turn 3, well, he had a good run.
I mean, it was a 2-drop. He did a very good job, but maybe you have something just better to do.
Yeah.
So, it
Your
happens.
stuff got locked down. Your lands for a turn.
Possibly. Stupid stasis. Always ruining my party.
Lord. So yeah,
Players are like, what stasis?
I really like the Mosswood Dread Knight.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. It's really good.
It doesn't feel like it should be a problem, but it very easily can be a problem.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
What else we got?
My Uh-oh. Like the top one, maybe two rows of my multicolor are refusing to load. Card image gallery, why are you so crap? Like, everything's already loaded. Why does it keep unloading things after they've been loaded? This is one of those cases where they're trying to get too fancy with the coding of the card image gallery. Like, oh, if you're not looking at it, it doesn't need to be in the memory. No, it still does. Some of us are doing podcasts. Oh, it was brought up in the comments of the YouTube video. How come you didn't just use Scryfall? Because Scryfall has the whole set plastered across like 6 or 8 pages. And it would have been way too much of a pain when Dirk goes, hey, there's this card down in green. Ah, Jesus Christ. What page? Is that page 4? Page 5? I don't know. Give me a minute. Like, that would have just been too much effort. Anyway, I'm sorry. Somebody was about to say something and I screwed it up for everybody.
There's I don't know what to say about it. It's in multicolored still, but it's a black thing called Devouring Sugar Maw.
Oh, he's cute.
Looking at it going, I don't know how I feel about this.
This is where when the guard in Whiterun goes, let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll. You go, no, the sweet roll's come to life and it killed my parents.
Looks like he's got gummy bear snake arms.
Hell
or
yeah.
A gummy worm snake arms.
Gummy worm tentacles. And its teeth look like they're sprinkles. Oh yeah, this thing is awesome.
like it kind of makes me hungry. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Dirk, in this instance, I think it's a bad thing. I love you, but I think it's a bad thing.
So for 2 and 2 black, for 2 and 2 black, it's a 6/6 horror that's rare, and it has menace and trample. Holy moly! At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token. If you don't, tap Devouring Sugar Maw. So for 4 mana, it's a 6/6 that's terrifying, but you have to sacrifice something to keep it from being like, I'm sad. But it also has an instant adventure named Have for Dinner, which is 1 and a white. Create a 1/1 white human creature token and a food token.
You know, for 2 mana, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at instant speed, you get a 1/1 and some food.
And it's have for dinner, so yeah.
So you exile it, and then you play Devouring Sugar Maw next turn, and then it eats the human
Food.
because it's a token, and then the Devouring Sugar Maw goes and eats somebody, or attacks somebody and attempts to eat them.
Yeah, I like that it's an actual, like, undercosted, big, scary thing with a drawback. Wow, what is this, the 90s?
Mm-hmm. And there's only a handful of ways to satisfy it. It's not like just drop a creature. Well, I can make one of those. That's no problem. This thing's artifact, enchantment, or token. Granted, it's easy to make a token here, so actually you could feed it the food token right after it.
Yeah, you can. It's essentially requiring a bargain every turn. You have to keep bargaining with this
with the sweets,
yeah,
the sweet horror.
It's like Lando Calrissian saying, "This deal is getting worse all the time," and Darth Vader turns around, but instead of Darth Vader, it's this thing.
What else do I have I can throw at it?
I like that it's picked up somebody here with its, like,
it's sugar frosting.
Yeah, frosting. That's the word. Thank you.
It's a new take on a pit lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. While we're
Ooh,
here, we should.
it's a combination of Darth Vader for the bargain aspect and Audrey too. Feed me, Seymour.
Little shop. Okay, it took me. It
Yeah.
took my brain like a solid 2 seconds to put that together. I'll be all
All
right.
right. Well, while we're here, we need to look at what?
Oh, the otter.
Otter.
That's
Right
right
next
next
to
to
it.
it. Yeah, the elusive otter. Hey, Brian, why don't you tell us about the elusive otter?
All right, elusive otter. This thing is so cute. For a single blue, if it just the creature is an otter, that's all it is. It doesn't have a job. Why would it have a job? We'll get to what it does as a creature in a minute because it's also got an adventure. Grove's Bounty for X and a green, sorcery. Distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. So that's pretty good. Pay X and green, not XX or X green or whatever. That's that's very that very good cost. That's very well costed. Sorry, my English is not so good. Uh that is a very good effect for the cost. And then later or right away if you just want the otter is a 1/1 with prowess, which means the prowess, obviously, it's really benefiting if you play other adventures. Creatures with power less than elusive otters power can't block it. Which the only thing I can think of is that I really hate that you can't target the otter with its own adventure because this is the creature that wants to get really big. Makes me want to play more than one otter. Maybe they. What's a group of otters, Dirk? Is that a flock? No, a flock of
No,
otter. That's a
it's
flock
a
of
weird
birds.
one.
It's a
Hang
weird
on.
one.
Collective. Whoop, collective noun. Otters. A
Romp.
family or a romp.
A romp. So I want to play a romp of otters.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it really wants to be big. And I realize with the prowess, just play a bunch of non-creature spells, um, and get it big. But it's cute. I like it. What do you think about it?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just like Grove's Bounty. The otter itself is neat, but
But for X and green,
yeah.
that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I want to talk about?
What
It's
do you
not
want
in
to talk about?
multicolors. So I hate to keep pulling you away, but I don't really. I mean, in black,
In black.
the
Okay.
scream, the scream puff, not the stay puff,
I was about to
the
say
scream
Scream
puff.
Puff Marshmallow Man.
Oh, hell yeah, the
Well,
Scream Puff Marshmallow Man.
Dirk, read the scream puff. Cause I mean, come on.
Scream Puff. Okay. That is terrifying. For four, it says for four in a black, it's a 4/5 horror that's common with Death Touch. Whenever Scream Puff deals combat damage to a player, create a food token. And its flavor text at the bottom says, "Too much sugar is bad for your health."
Puh!
I mean, I realize that the whole Eldraine thing is a take on fairy tales, not necessarily popular culture, but someone that really liked Ghostbusters made this card, right?
Hmm.
Because, come on, it's a giant, rotten, like oozing marshmallow. It, if this thing had a sailor hat on, it would be copyright infringement,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. And also, it's a 4/5 with Death Touch that really wants to hit your opponent. So you can keep making reusable, like recursive food in this set is really really good. So
Ooh, that sounds like an awesome band name. Recursive Food.
It also sounds like something that you take Pepto-Bismol for. But yes.
So
Could you get my Tums? I got that recursive food is flaring up again. Oh
so
no, recursive food is when you can't keep it down. Ugh.
all right. Well, if we're gonna be that, then you need to go up to Candy Grapple.
What
It's
color
in
is that?
black.
Grapple?
Oh, it's still in black.
Candy
Okay.
Grapple.
Candy Grapple. Oh yeah, I love this art. It's good stuff.
For 1 in a black, it's a common instant. Has bargain. So you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment token. You may cast this spell. Okay.
Close enough.
Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If this spell was bargained, that creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn instead. And the flavor text says, "Don't you mean poisonous? There's no such thing as venomous." Ah!
Because remember, poisonous means if you eat it, you'll get sick. Venomous means it's something that bites you and injects venom or stings you or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Poisonous is defensive. Venomous is offensive.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a venomous apple. That doesn't even make sense. Ah!
Yep.
I love it. Let's see. We haven't spent much time in blue. Let's see if there's anything in blue.
We haven't.
That jumps out at us.
There is a
What the
mythic blue
hell?
card. Okay.
Fun.
That's a common? Sorry, quick study. Wow, power creep is real. Quick study is your normal 2 and a blue draw 2 cards, but it's an instant.
It's an instant.
Just
What?
at common. Like that
That's
like
been a
it's
s-
normal.
That's been a sorcery for a very long time. Back when they said we're going to stop doing lots of card draw at instant speed because they found that games were too much draw go. So it either had to have a really expensive cost or it was usually draw a card, maybe draw 2 cards at instant speed, but not for 3 mana. That's a good catch that you notice that because that
That's what I said. Power creep is real. Like
yeah,
what is the name of that card?
just for 2 and a blue draw
Yeah.
a card. I'm gonna look it up.
I can
I
never
wanna say
remember.
concentrate,
Divination.
but that's not divination. Okay, thank you.
I've got in my brain. I've got the one with the Soratami, arcane something or other. But no, not that one. But yeah, that's been a sorcery for ever. Wow. I wonder why they decided to do that. Huh. Anyway. Chifuji said Sleep Cursed Fairy next to it has a lot of potential for shenanigans. I was just reading that and trying to understand it. Hey Brian, read Sleep Cursed Fairy.
Sleep Cursed Fairy is a very interesting card. For a single blue, it is a 3/3 with flying and ward 2. Broken. However, it enters the battlefield tapped with 3 stun counters on it because it's, sleep cursed.
Yep.
Okay, so you can only use it after 4 turns. But wait! It also has the ability pay 1 and a blue, untap Sleep Cursed Fairy. Which, by the way, means that now after the stun counters are removed, it has pseudo vigilance. Or all sorts of shenanigans with any sort of tap this creature to do whatever sort of effects. Let your mind go nuts with those.
Yeah.
This feels silly. It's not broken because of having to enter with those stun counters on it. Any sort of combo you're going to do, they're going to see a million miles away. But
I
honestly,
just don't. It seems awful.
oh, I don't think it's bad at all. I don't think it's like broken.
Sorry, it seems
but-
awful as like a 3/3 flyer. Because turn 1, play this. Ha, wait. Turn 2, untap it. Well, it doesn't untap. Just remove a counter. Oh.
But then it also, so then it's down to 2 stun counters on it, right?
Well, no, at that point, it already tried to untap during your untap, so it's down to just 1.
Right. Yeah. So to be clear, you're paying the 1 and a blue to untap it as well, not just at the beginning of the turn, right? Because you said untap it, so.
Which you can't, yeah. Because
Right.
it's got stun counter on it.
Question.
Yes.
God.
Can I pay 6, like 3 mana and 3 blue, and all the stun counters fall off of it?
I mean, if you want to pay 6 for a 3/3 flyer, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Actually, you'd
Ward
have to pay
2.
8 because it won't untap until, like, if you try to, I guess if you do it at the same turn you play it.
Right. I think that's what he's saying. But if you draw it late game, sure, go nuts. But turn 1, play this. Turn 2, it's down to 3. I'm sorry, it's down to 2. Play a land, activate the ability. It's down to 1. Next turn, turn 3, the last one is removed, and then you can untap it and swing. So
Congratulations, you've paid 7 mana. Well, what? You've paid
over the course
5 mana for your 3/3 flyer.
over the course of 3 turns.
And done nothing else at this crucial part of the game, though. So, like...
It depends on if you've got anything else to do on turn 2. And because this is instant speed, you could just do play a land, turn 2, pass to you. You do something, I need to counter it, blow it up, whatever. The counters will still work their way off eventually. Oh, you didn't do anything because I'm clearly holding something. Let me untap this, and you're still not blowing up my 3/3 anytime soon because of the ward 2. So.
Yeah, it just...
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, like, I agree
Chat.
that eventually, once you lose the stun counter, sure, it can do silly things, but it just doesn't seem worth the effort.
Chat, what do you guys think?
I mean, Shifuji just said it's a pretty good opening drop, and I just don't see it. Because either you're paying... You've essentially got a suspended creature, which I guess... Which
Turn
is
3, you got
fine.
a 3/3 with flying and ward 2.
Yeah, but you don't get... Unless you put more money into it, you don't get it until turn 4. So... Sorry, no, turn 5. Because turn 2, 3, 4 is removing the stun counters. And at that point, a 3/3 flyer is still fine, but like... Meh?
I think, especially in limited, we're having different opinions of the Ward 2 value. Because to me, that's what makes it really good. But
I've literally never played in a set. I haven't played any Magic since Ward became a thing, so I'm almost certainly not even thinking about that.
probably.
But yeah, thinking about it as a suspend creature now, I think it's slightly better to think of it that way. Which chat just said, yeah.
Aha. Thank you, chat. So, while we're still in blue and moving to something that's a little more straightforward and yet really weird, you remember those sorceries that you could pay 2 more for to give them flash in Invasion? Look at Asinine Antics, which is a great name.
That is a great name.
And then read it and tell us what it does.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, Asinine Antics, also known as the Manipool Podcast, for 2 blue is a mythic sorcery. Oh. You may cast it as though it had flash if you pay 2 more to cast it. Okay. For each creature your opponents control, create a cursed roll token attached to that creature, which turns them into 1/1s.
It's like a one-sided humility.
Wow.
It
Yeah,
does
that
not
is
remove
pretty
their
fun.
abilities. Yeah. I also like the art. Those poor donkey people. Were they donkeys before? Or is that an effect of the curse?
No, I think she's turning people into donkeys.
Oh,
That would make more sense. But I don't know. Eldraine's a weird place.
That is
Maybe these
also accurate.
true.
maybe these poor donkey people are just like, what's she doing to us? I think she's turning them into donkeys. But
Yeah, that is an awesome card. I like that.
yeah. I would pay 6 for that.
Hell
I
yeah,
would also pay
I'd pay 4 for that as sorcery speed and be perfectly happy.
I would pay 4 for that during my turn and be like, all your stuff is 1/1 now. And then I,
Attack.
attack.
We should read the archive. Brian, you should read the archive dragon.
Archive Dragon, that was right next to it, right?
Yep.
I started scrolling away almost immediately.
No scrolling
Archive
for
Dragon.
you.
I've seen I've seen this guy before. It's pretty good. It has Ward 2, spoiler alert, so that makes it great. For 4 and 2 blue, so 6 mana for a 4/6 Dragon Wizard. It is uncommon, has flying, has Ward 2, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 2.
Now all that's well and
And
good, but read the flavor text.
and the flavor text is awesome. Fascinating. It says here that dragons cannot read.
That is brilliant.
I love it.
And in the art, his tail is curled up in front of him, and he's reading a book that's held in his curled up tail.
And he is sitting on a mound of books and scrolls.
Yeah, he's got a hoard of books instead of a hoard of gold. I love it.
Yeah. 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 The flavor text is good. For an uncommon, this is very good. It's not rare, but it does a lot of work. And the fact that it's harder for them to blow it up means... And you get a scry 2 immediately.
Yeah.
That's very, very good. What is going on with this ingenious prodigy? I just scrolled past this and I'm like, what? Is this like a 6-year-old that got a hold
color?
of their parents' robe? In blue.
In blue.
It looks like a kid that got a hold of their parents' stuff. Even looking at the glasses are way too big for their face.
I mean, prodigy is usually used to mean someone very young, so...
Hey, I just read a card. Dirk, read Ingenious Prodigy in blue. Is this a new keyword?
What, Skulk? Skulk's been around since Future Sight.
And why didn't the Otter have it?
That is a good question. That is literally what the Otter did.
So, Ingenious Prodigy for X and a blue, it's an 0/1. A 0/1. Human Wizard, that is rare. And it has Skulk. Cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power.
Yeah, the Mist Meadow something. Was it Future Sight? Future Sight was before Lorwyn. Yeah.
Future Sight was weird, so...
And there was, I think, the one creature with Skulk, and it was a Shadowmoor creature.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it in my head. Okay.
Otter had the opposite.
Do what?
The Otter we read earlier has the opposite of Skull.
Can't be blocked by creatures with less power? Oh.
Oh, right. We're stupid. That's why the Otter didn't have it.
Okay. Never mind. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So what else does this card do?
Ingenious Prodigy enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it.
Makes sense.
It's pretty cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Ingenious Prodigy has one or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from it. If you do, draw a card.
Oh.
So you can voluntarily make it smaller, but draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. That is
So
serious tension.
So something we haven't talked about on this show.
Oops.
I don't think that we have, because none of us play competitively anymore. A little while ago, they announced that Standard was getting bigger. That sets would now stay in Standard for 3 years instead of two. I have feelings about this because I like it when sets change out more frequently. I don't play like the legacy, the eternal formats. So I like it when there's change. I know some people feel like, oh, you're having to buy new cards all the time. And I get that, but I just like it when things stay fresh. So I don't know that I approve of that change. That being said, that means that this is going to stick around with a couple sets longer than it would otherwise, and Proliferate will be able to interact with this.
I mean,
So
that's fine.
yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I think it opens up more possibilities.
I just really like the tension on
tension?
this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a well designed card, to be sure.
Like, do I want to have a bigger thing uh, that hits harder, or do I want a smaller thing that can sneak by, and I get to draw a few extra cards?
Right.
Or do you just pump the mana into it right now and just have a shrinking personal howling mine
Yeah.
for however many turns?
Oh look, I've got a 6/6 that will be a 5/5 next turn, and I'll have another card. Still probably gonna be able to block it for a while, but at a certain point, it'll be small enough. And if it's a 6/6, it's probably one of the bigger things on the board anyway.
Yeah. I mean, 6/7.
Not even getting
but,
into, not even getting into shenanigans.
Oh, Jay Spencer pointed out this guy's a perfect ninja enabler. And ninjas wouldn't
True.
have been in standard when this card was designed. I don't remember how long ago ninjas were, so I have no idea what's in standard.
Kamigawa, Neon Odyssey, Genesis, Boogaloo.
Yeah, but I have no idea how long ago that was. As you know, I have no concept of the passage of time. He said Kamigawa would have rotated out this week. Oh, but because of the change to standard, it gets to hang out for an extra year. That's cool.
So there you go. So that is a plus to the longer.
Wait a minute. Neon Dynasty was 2 years ago already?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I know I had no concept of the passage of time, but I did not think it was that long.
Well, and keep in mind, I know we joke sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot, sometimes not really joking about time having stopped existing in 2020, but really since then time has been a blur. So yeah,
it's true. Like, it's on tour and it's singing song 2 going woohoo.
Yeah,
that was the band Blur, because jokes are funnier when you explain them.
They are. Why do you think my whole concept of humor works? It does. It does work, right?
Yes.
Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. Oh my God! There's a horned loch whale.
Loch whale, like the Spanish loch. Oh, it's fighting a griffin.
I was saying no, like the Scottish loch.
Yes.
Okay, the horned loch whale for 4 blue is a whale, but that's unimportant right now. It has the adventure Lagoon Breach, which is an instant. Loch, remember, is lake, so it's a lake whale. but it's a loch whale because that sounds more uh, uh, fairy tale-ish. Anyway,
Yeah.
so lagoon breach, because it breach is the thing a whale does, and it's a lagoon. I think it's cool. For 1 and a blue is an instant that says the owner of target attacking creature you don't control puts it on the top or bottom of their library. So they get to pick, right?
Yes.
It's not you don't say, "Hey, put that on the bottom." They get to pick.
Correct.
Okay. But still, for 1 and a blue, it's pretty good. That is serious tempo. But then
it's funny that a loch is a lake, but a lagoon is not.
a lagoon is not a lake?
No.
Isn't a lagoon like a small enclosed body of water?
Yeah, but it's by the beach. It's usually in the ocean.
How the hell do you have a enclosed body of water in the ocean? Listen to what you're
But
saying.
it's attached to the ocean.
You're attached to it.
You find them at the beach.
Your mom's attached to the ocean. I don't even know what that means. Anyway.
Shallow body of water separated from a larger body of water by a narrow landform, such as a reef, or barrier peninsula.
Oh, see, so it's Oh, chat just pointed a loch could have a lagoon. See? Because it's just attached to a larger body of water. Like a loch.
Like a loch?
But not all lagoons are
like
lakes.
a loch?
Dirk, I'm going to come to your house and poke you in the eye and then drive all the way back home. All right, so 1 and a blue, attacking creature, top or bottom of the library. Okay, the horned loch whale for 4 blue is a 6/6 with flash and, oh, Brian's all excited again, Ward 2.
Hey, I am.
And horned loch whale enters the battlefield tapped unless it's your turn.
No surprise blocks with it.
Yeah, but it could almost sort of kind of have haste. You played at the end of your opponent's turn, and then, oh look, here's this ready to attack loch whale that's horned. I don't actually care about this card at all. I just wanted to say loch whale about 30 times.
You have.
It is an interesting design though. And it is fighting a griffin, which, makes everything better. I wonder if I can find the art for that for the thumbnail. That would be pretty sweet. Horned loch whale. Images. Huh! That is way too small for a thumbnail. But I might be able to find it. If I'm strong enough.
I believe in you.
Yeah, maybe don't though.
Oh, dang it. Place my faith in the wrong person.
Yeah.
Again.
Anyway, what else? What time is it? 10 o'clock. Okay.
It's about 10 o'clock. We can do a couple more. You mentioned we hadn't really done many of the sagas. So, in black, there's the Witch's Vanity. It costs 1 and a black. Fairly cheap for a saga. Chapter 1. Destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. Is that SWAT?
I always get SWAT and Smother confused.
Yeah, me too. Smother is converted mana cost.
Which is what
Maybe
this
I've got them
is.
backwards.
Yeah, one is power and one's mana cost. It doesn't matter.
Chapter 2.
Chat will let us know here when they get caught up.
Sure. Chapter 2, create a food token.
Hey, I like food, obviously.
Chapter 3, create a wicked roll token attached to target creature you control.
All right, which one's wicked?
+1, and...
Oh, the aura thing, right?
Yeah, when the aura is put into your graveyard, each opponent loses a life.
Oh yeah, when the wicked roll aura itself. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good for 2 mana.
I'm trying to think of the story that this tells, and it feels very much like Snow White. Chapter 1, trying to kill her, or, sending the huntsman.
Yep.
Chapter 2, you know,
The apple.
poisoning the apple. And
Yeah.
chapter 3, actually disfiguring herself to be, yeah, as wicked on the outside as on the inside.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
never trust old ladies that come to your house with apples.
Especially if you don't know them ahead of time. Like if your mom shows up and was like, "Hey, I got you this apple," you're probably all right, depending on your relationship with your mom.
Yeah. You said ooh.
Yeah, there was something I saw earlier just from the name. I wanted to talk about it in black. Rankle's Prank. Rankle's Prank.
What Rankle was a legendary creature in original Eldraine. He was the fairy that when he hit an opponent, like it was almost like a mini braids effect or something, I think. So he was portrayed as kind of a malicious prankster. So what does the Rankle's prank do? That's a fun
Rankle's
name.
Prank. The flavor text, by the way, is the louder they scream, the harder he laughs, which should tell you something about Rankle right there. Rankle's Prank is insane. For 2 black, it's a rare sorcery that says choose one or more. Each player discards 2 cards. Okay. Each player loses 4 life. Okay. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures for 4 mana.
That's pretty crazy. And you may not be doing all of those modes. Like against a red deck, you may not be choosing the middle one. But
Yeah, because you can't afford to lose 4 yourself.
right, because all of these are each player. But I like this.
Yeah, seems good. Jay
And
Spencer
yeah, it
said
does
it won
say
him games on Saturday. Yeah, I bet.
yeah.
Yeah, I like this card. It's a finisher in aggressive decks. It's a I mean, it seems like it's most at home in aggressive decks when you don't have cards in hand and you don't care about your life total.
Yeah.
But it also works well in decks where you're not running that many creatures and you don't have any on the board. Or you can do something else with your creatures ahead of time, like sack them to whatever.
Yep. Agreed.
Or if you have a lot of rats, since we're in black, and you don't care if you lose 2 creatures. Uh-huh. Yeah, Rankle's a dick.
Yeah. A couple of players I played against on Friday night had the monstrosity in their deck
Eh,
because high power, and when it dies, you get a food. Very straightforward card for 1 and a black. It's a common horror. It's a 3/1, so 3/1 for 2, and when it dies, create a food token.
yeah, I
I
like it.
because they were only across the table from me, I didn't really get a good look at this card. It's kind of terrifying. There are several swords stuck in the ground behind this thing, implying that it's, already had several victims.
Oh yeah.
If the sugary abominations of Sweet Tooth Village were ever under someone's control, that time is long past. Mm,
Did we talk
dark.
about Lord Skitter?
No, we didn't.
Should we
He was
talk
kind of
about
on my
Lord Skitter?
list. We should. We didn't get to it last time with everything else going on.
Oh. Hey Dirk, you want to tell us about Lord Skitter?
Is that black? Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lord Skitter. Lord Skitter, Sewer King. For 2 and a black, it's a 3/3 Rat Noble. That's rare and is a legendary creature. Whenever another rat enters the battlefield under your control, exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block.
So just rats and rats and rats.
Who's the Piper? This will go well with him.
Yeah, there
True.
seems to be a pretty clear, like, rat theme going on here.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple of rat lords. Or things that care about rats and do things with lots of rats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just before it, there's Lord Skitter's Blessing and Lord Skitter's Butcher.
Yeah. I'll take
Lord-
the Butcher because it's fun.
Yeah, Lord Skitter's Butcher's a really good card.
Lord Skitter's Butcher, which the art just chef's kiss, which
Rat Chef's
feels
Kiss.
oddly appropriate and not appropriate here. For 2 and a black is a 2/3 Rat Peasant. Uncommon.
Which I don't understand, because
When-
he's clearly got a job.
Well, just because. Well.
Yeah, that's true. Peasant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a peasant, and I've technically got a job, so yeah.
There you go. When Lord Skitter's Butcher enters the battlefield, choose one. Create a first option. Create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. Second option, you may sacrifice another creature, not the Butcher. If you do, scry 2, then draw a card. Or
Awesome.
third option, creatures you control gain menace until end of turn.
Like that is more options, more better. I love this guy. This rat guy. Like, you pick the first one as your default. Second one when you need to dig and have another, token or unimportant creature handy. And the third one to, win the game.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And then what's Lord Skitter's Blessing?
I don't know. I didn't read it. For 1 and a black, it's a rare enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, create a wicked roll attached to target creature you control. That's the +1/+1, and then when that aura goes to the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. And at the beginning of your draw step, if you control an enchanted creature, which you probably should because you just made a wicked roll, you lose 1 life and you draw an additional card. Holy crap, I love this card. It's a what is that? What's the losing life of draw card every turn?
Phyrexian Arena.
Thank you, Arena. I was like Phyrexian something, damn it. But it's a cheaper one, and you have some control over whether or not you you get to draw the card. I like it. I like Lord Skitter, all of Lord Skitter's stuff here.
Yeah.
Like Lord Skitter
too.
for president.
I mean, I don't know that I disagree, which... Was this a good place to wrap up? And then, if there's anything that Mike really wanted to bring to our attention, hopefully he'll be back with us next week, or we'll be moving on to a new topic.
Well, if we're gonna stop, then we should end at the end.
At the end.
Because there's a card called The End.
In black.
Okay.
Yeah.
The end. I don't think I'd seen this one.
So let's see who. Hey Dirk, wrap it up.
Oh,
for
this
us.
one. This one, yeah, this is weird art. Okay.
So
Yeah.
for 2 and 2 black, it's a rare instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if your life total is 5 or less. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Search its controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that permanent and exile them. The player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way.
So it's a what is that? Lobotomy
Mhm.
type effect, but they replace anything that you pulled from their hand, which
Yeah,
is neat.
we've seen this a couple times, um, on that sort of on this sort of effect where it's uh there's a picture in my head of one from Kaladesh, and I'm gonna look it up, where it's this sort of thing. And I think it has that same sort of, like, if you took it from their hand, you replace it with they get to draw, so you're not actually like reducing the number of cards they have in hand.
Yeah, but
I'm looking it up.
but this one is a creature removal, which chat just pointed out. So it's not just like, look at their hand and then dig through their library. It's kill that thing and then go get whatever else, however many other copies they have of it,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. And it costs black if you're, about to die,
Yes.
which is pretty cool.
And the fact that it is creature kill is what really sets it apart. Lost Legacy
Yeah, that's the
is
one.
is the one I was thinking of. Yeah. Um, and then that player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way.
Yeah.
So we've seen that before, but not exile target creature or planeswalker from the board and then go get those. Or if we have, I apologize, I'm not thinking of the right one. But
So yeah, I think the end is a good place to stop.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because, as the Mad Hatter said, begin at the beginning, and when you get to the end, stop. But he also said, Mustard, don't let's be silly. So maybe we shouldn't listen to him. I wouldn't go so far as to say that the Mad Hatter is my spirit animal, but he's my hero. The original one, not the weird half Scottish Johnny Depp one. That one I have issues with. But anyway, well, how about some final thoughts then, dorks, and we will wrap it up for the evening.
No, that I really have one. I mentioned last time that I went to Alaska, had a great time, did the shout out for the store. I will say that my family and I were able to get some starter decks of Lorcana, Disney's Lorcana, and we really enjoy it. And we're hoping that there will be some boosters out there somewhere in the wide world for us to, build our own decks and change these. I got a couple off the bat, but I know it's been tough to find just because everybody wants to play. So, but other than that, work is absolutely crazy. The week we're coming up on, I'm gonna be extremely busy, so I don't know how available I'll be next week, but I'm hoping to be here, especially if Mike's here, because everybody likes Mike. That's all I got.
I mean, if I could be like Mike.
Then,
Wow, you remember that?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have a particular final thought myself. I'm in week 2 of school, returning to teaching, and I guess the only thing I have is the Ahsoka series started 3 weeks ago,
Wait, it did?
and I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
Man, I'm
Yeah,
so
don't tell
far
me what.
behind.
Don't tell me. I have not seen the latest episode, and I have managed to avoid spoilers. So don't make me come over there.
Oh, I'm not.
And I didn't
All
even
I
know
say is
it was
it's
out
great.
yet.
They're 4 episodes in.
Son of a.
Um,
All right, well.
And so far, I'm really enjoying the series.
Awesome.
From what I have seen, so am I.
Episode 4 is cool. You'll enjoy it, Brian.
Good.
And that's all I'll say about it.
Well, fair enough.
You're welcome,
I
Brian.
will say that you should go to patreon.com/themanapool if you want to be a lifeguard and help a brother out. You can get the sponsorship shout out like these dorks, lifeguards. Oh, how about in this order? Al, Kim Ho, Scuzzo, John Parker, Jake Jansen's Beardy Man. Look at him getting a shout out and he's not even here. Team You Hells, how are you? Jason Kaus, Cody Buckowing, Scroll, Casey, Jason Doan, ALK Alters, and Andrew Odie. Yay, mythic lifeguards. But yeah, please go be a patron. I'm having financial issues at the moment. Why am I scrolling through the card image gallery? We're not doing that anymore. As for me, what have I done? Oh, I guess since the odds and ends didn't get recorded. Hey, I finished playing Doom, the 2016 Doom, on stream. It was so satisfying. I'm putting... So, like, if you haven't played Doom, you totally should. Like, holy crap. It's really good. You know, if you can handle the motion of bouncing around an arena killing demons. Like, if you have motion sickness issues, maybe not. But everyone else, you should totally do it. Also, I started Final Fantasy II a while back. The Pixel Remaster. I'm really enjoying it. Way more than I thought I would. Because my only experience with it was the PS1 Final Fantasy Origins version. And it was... What's the word I'm looking for? Ass. So the Pixel Remaster is excellent. And I've thoroughly enjoyed that. But that, a stream on Fridays. And then last night, and going forward, I started Sea of Stars, which is by Sabotage Studio, who are the same people that did The Messenger, which was one of my favoriteest games ever. It was an homage to 8 and 16-bit platformers and Metroidvanias, especially those with, a ninja protagonist. And it was also actively hilarious. Like, I spent so much time playing The Messenger just giggling. It's like genuinely funny, which is not a thing that you get in video games done that well. But Sabotage's most recent thing is Sea of Stars, which is a modern homage to Chrono Trigger and also some Super Mario RPG. Just because it's Chrono Trigger style combat, but there's also timed button presses, and there's a bunch of other things in combat that make it more intricate than most of your standard turn-based games. But it was I've done one stream of it, about 3 hours, a little more, and I think it's done teaching me things and setting up the world and the characters and all that. It's beautiful. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. The sprite work is amazing. The characters are all likable. Garl for president. Like, for real. Renee has already decided that if she gets a cat, she's probably going to name it Garl. And she wasn't even there for the whole stream. Like, that's how quickly we all fell in love with Garl. Garl is the best. So, yeah, if you like Chrono Trigger, then I highly recommend Sea of Stars. Apparently, I saw an article on social media somewhere that said Sea of Stars met its sales goal for the year in launch week. So, you know, it's good. So it is a hard recommend from Chewy, and I've only played 3 hours. But I can't imagine it not being awesome all the way through. Like, the bosses are massive, and the sprite work on all the characters, the animations, the bosses, just the enemies. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. I love it so much. So that's hashtag not sponsored, but you know, Sabotage. If you want to sponsor me, I will harp on your games all the time. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I'm also, before I go back to Doom and do Doom Eternal, I think I'm gonna do Spider-Man Miles Morales. Cause I wanna let the demon slaying sit and stew for a while, because you know, go do something else and then come back and go back to the hardcore killing demons, because it's Doom is an exhausting game. I'm not gonna lie. There were several streams where I'd stopped early because after like 2.5 hours of bouncing around killing demons, I was just physically tired.
Just done.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, I would love to do another level, but I'm gonna go pass out now. And I mean that in the best possible way, because I was super into it. So, yeah. That's what I've been up to. Finished one game, started another one, gonna start another one very soon. Although, I don't know, I might just stick with Sea of Stars until it's done, and then start Spider-Man, rather than bounce back and forth between the two, which is my usual MO. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. But anyway, I'll be streaming that most nights. Sea of Stars, that is. You should come hang out. I start at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Give or take a few minutes either direction. Yeah. And Fridays, of course, are Final Fantasy Fridays. So, if you want to see... I'm going to be working my way through the Pixel remasters over the next however long, so... I'm on 2. I'm very excited. So, alright, with that, I guess we'll be done with episode 685. No, really, for real this time. So, yeah. Hopefully we'll have Mike and Brian and Dirk next week. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
So, with that, this has been the Manapool 685. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and don't get a wicked roll attached to you.